Well, thank you for inviting me today to speak at the celebration of FDR's life and his incredible legacy. What strikes me about this amazing man is that, in my humble opinion, he did not start his mission for the physically challenged thinking about his work and how his work would impact people around the world almost three-fourths of a century later. I think he started out as a simple heart, helping to improve the lives of individuals who he knew, who he loved, who he served here at Warm Springs. His vision, his tenacity, and his leadership did the rest. My name is Scott Rigsby, and I'm an Ironman, in case you're not familiar with that term. And so they call you when you finish one of the toughest one-day endurance races on the planet. It's, in case you don't know what an Ironman is, simply a triathlon. It's the longest distance triathlon. It's where you swim, you bike, and you run. You have to do it in a certain amount of time. In Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii, every October, the second week, they have this world-famous race that's captivated in 17 hours, and it covers 140.6 miles. It's a 2.4-mile swim in the ocean with 1,800 of your closest friends from around the world. Then you get the joy of hopping on a bike and riding 112 miles through the lava fields of Hawaii. The pavement is 135 degrees. It's 110 degree heat index. It's about 80 degrees temperature-wise, about 85% humidity. They have legendary winds that have blown 30 and 40 miles an hour. They've blown people off their bikes and over the guardrails. If that isn't enough, you have 10 hours and 30 minutes to complete the 2.4-mile swim and 112-mile bike ride. And then you get the joy of warming up for a marathon, 26.2 miles. And this 140.6-mile race is captivated by NBC, and they take this 17-hour race, they condense it down to 66 actual minutes, and they broadcast it around the world 1.5 months later. In 2007, I was the first person to finish this world-famous race on 2 prosthetic legs. It was not an end. It was simply a means to a larger end. You might be surprised to know that I just grew up right down the road in Camilla, Georgia. A very humble beginning. As age 18, I was sitting on the back of a pickup truck with 2 of my friends. Wanted to earn a little extra money before I went off to college. I was sitting on the back of a pickup truck with my feet dangling in the bed of the truck on a hot summer Georgia day, pulling a flatbed trailer with 2 big industrial lawnmowers on the back, and an 18-wheeler had been following us for about 10 miles and decided to pass us in a no-passing zone. And when we came to the bridge, he didn't think he was going to have enough room, so he moved over the yellow line. When he did, it caused a collision. I got knocked off, and my legs got lodged in between our flatbed trailer, and I got dragged down the road over 324 feet on the pavement. But my life did not end there. God had a greater purpose, just like he did with FDR. And after enduring 8 surgeries in 6 weeks, 17 in a year, I went off to college. And over the course of 12 years, I'd have 25 surgeries because one leg was kept remaining. They wanted to salvage one leg. But eventually I would have it taken off. 6 weeks later, it's up and running. I didn't have a reason to run. But I started scaring all the patients, older patients in the rehab center, so they kicked me out. But over this course of the 20 years of going back to work and getting into the working world, I didn't have a vision for my life. Helen Keller said it best when it says that it's a terrible thing to see and have no vision. It's a terrible thing to see and have no vision. I didn't have any vision for my life. And I wanted to just check out. I wanted to die. But Christmas of 2005, I threw up this Hail Mary prayer to God. And I said, hey man, if you open up a door for me, then I'll run through it. Well, obviously be careful what you pray for. I've been doing more running than a bargain. I was recently inspired, last year, inspired by recent visits to Walter Reed Hospital. In 2011, I went back and completed the race again to raise money in support of the Georgia Warrior Alliance and our family retreats that are held here. To help our wounded veterans and their families, to love on them through our Camp Dream right down the road. While I was at Walter Reed, I met a young man and spent time with him that had lost his leg in a roadside bomb. And I looked as his wife had tears streaming down her face. And she said to me, she goes, "Is my husband going to be all right?" And I was proud to say that I could look her back in the face and said, "Am I all right?" With confidence that I could to share with that family that they could still live an active lifestyle. That their sacrifice was not in vain. It made me more determined to run more races, to bring awareness to this great foundation. I speak around the country. I speak to corporations, military bases, professional college athletic teams, high schools, middle schools. I share the message of doing the unthinkable. My book is titled Unthinkable. The reason why is because I didn't know how to swim when I started. I had never ridden a bike on a set of prosthetics. I didn't even own a bike. I had never run the 0.2 of those 26.2 miles. But as she said it best, I had a dream. You may think that this book, if you saw it at a bookstore, that it was about an 18-year-old kid that had this catastrophic event that happened to him and did some kind of incredible athletic achievement. But that's such a small, minute part of the story. The reality is it's about emotional, spiritual, relational, mental challenges that we all face. In my presentation, I discussed 5 things I challenge people to envision a doorway to their unthinkable and steps leading up to that unthinkable. Starts with having a dream. But we understand that concept because since we were little kids, we've heard about the value of having a dream. But what about what happens when our dreams get dashed? A bigger dream has to be birthed. FDR turned his circumstances and his lost athletic career into an incredible life, and above all his accomplishments, he took afflictions and a means of curing an illness and enabling a generation of people to live an active lifestyle. You can have a dream, it can be bigger than you. But the second step is that you have to surround yourself with good people, a good support team around you. FDR had a vision, but he did not go it alone. He surrounded himself with experts here at Warm Springs and established a foundation for creating a world-class rehabilitation center. You can have a dream, you can be bigger than you can have the right people around you, but you have to operate in faith and let go of your fears. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. People around the world are gripped in fear almost 70 years later after FDR spoke those powerful words. His faith in God, his faith in the human spirit has transcended throughout the ages. Step 4, accept. You can have that faith, but accept that there are going to be hardships and overcome obstacles. FDR was a shining example to the wounded soldiers of World War II and to a nation of people. That faith alone is not enough. Overcoming obstacles was more than an inspirational speech for him. He spoke it and then took action. Accepting his challenges and proving the world that there was no limit to what we have. Lastly, after facing all these obstacles, we have to cross our finish line. We can have a dream, but let it be bigger than us. We can surround ourselves with great people, a great team of people. We can operate in faith and let go of fears. We can overcome those obstacles, but all those obstacles, all they do, if we have a dream that's bigger than us, they move us closer down, a little bit further down our finish line. There's no such thing as done line for FDR. He learned many things along his journey to the White House, and as if being present wasn't enough, he offered himself as a living laboratory to others. His finish line led to more finish lines. It was a means to a larger end. As I reflect on the legacy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, it is highly possible that many years ago, with a dream that was birthed on this very location, that my destiny of crossing that finish line in Hawaii in 2007 made it possible. In fact, what most people don't know is that I learned how to run on this very property 18 months prior to finishing one of the toughest endurance races on the planet and being featured before 50 million people. It started right here. It started at Camp Dream. I'm honored to be standing here today as a testimony of what this place means to thousands of people with physical challenges around the world. The Georgia War Alliance is a vehicle that we now have to provide the best of health and awareness, education, and employment to thousands of our heroes. I urge you to take action with us. Georgia has the best facilities. We have the best corporations. We have the best health care. We have the best research institutions. And we have the best people to set the standard for our nation. Let us be the generation that cares. Let us erase the bad memories of the wounded that have left behind in previous wars. One weekend with our wounded warriors and their families right here at Camp Dream is all you need to get you hooked. We can change the world right here, today, in this magical place of Warren Springs. We can do the unthinkable. Thank you for having me.